All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us again tonight for the 2026 Montana Armbender Series. We have another matchup for you. Tonight it's between Ian Johnson and Dan Grosulak. And I want to mention that this match is sponsored by the one and only Tim Geib. We all know him. We all love him. And his company, Geib Land and Livestock. So if you see him, definitely shake his hand, give him a big shout out because high quality matches like this are only possible because of sponsors like Tim Geib. So starting with you, Ian, can you tell us a little about yourself, where you're pulling out of, how long you've been pulling, and what interested you about this matchup and why you took it?
Sure. I am from Bismarck, North Dakota. I train over here with one of the larger teams here in North Dakota. So Clifton Erickson, Nathan Johnson, a couple. Jake Houston used to be training with us before he moved. So I got the cream of the crop as far as North Dakota goes to learn from and practice with.
I know all those names except for Clifton. I don't know that guy.
I've been doing this
No
about
one knows Clifton.
6 years now, I think. 6.5-ish now. But yeah, I think as far back as I can remember, I've been running into Dan and we've been going back and forth. So it's nice to finally get a super match. It's always been in tournaments where we get one whack at each other, maybe two, and that's it. But super matches hopefully settle some things.
Yeah, and tournaments are so volatile. You don't get to really make any adjustments. You're not always getting to pull each other fresh, so you're always wondering, he's like, how would the match go if we were both fresh?
Right.
Yeah, and same question over to you, Dan.
I think January will be 9 years pulling out of Billings, Montana, down here with Magic City Arms. So, obviously down here with you, Andrew, and all the Billings guys, Hunter and Nick and Brandon and all the other guys, Dalton, Declan, all the guys come in and out. So, been a great sport. Loved the sport ever since I started. Like Ian said, I think I'd been around for a couple years, and then Ian started showing up with the North Dakota boys, and it's been a really good competitive series. I know he's got the last win or two on me the last couple times we've met. Before that, I think maybe I had the winning record. So it should be a really good, match. It's a good style match. Nobody has a crazy style that makes the matches hard to watch or anything like that. So it should just be power on power and see who shows up stronger that day.
Absolutely. And I did forget to mention, because it is a little bit different, this is a best of 5 left-handed match for anyone who didn't know. So Dan has been really wanting to showcase his left arm, which is his main arm, at the arm bender within his weight class for a long time. So he finally gets to do it. And like you said, I mean, I've seen both of you guys, going back and forth for as long as I've been in it. I'm new compared to you guys, but yeah, so I think this has a lot of history, and we finally get to settle when you guys are both fresh and both at your best and peaked and preparing specifically for each other. I mean, man, Dakota, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this is a super exciting match. It's going to be a really good way to kick off the armbender. I mean, I'm pumped to see it just because you guys are both in the realm of my weight as well. So it's going to be really interesting. You kind of get an idea of where you guys lie. And well, especially it's even more interesting for me because I know Dan is going to be pulling Brian here left arm very soon as well at the December 13th little shindig you guys got going on. So it's kind of going to be like all intertwining because as well, Ian, I'm sure Clifton has talked to you about it, but he sees interest in us having a match as well.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be fun to go there, get to after pull with you guys, get a feeling, see a bunch of different matchups come into place and see where everyone is at. But I guess my question for you guys about this match is like, it's kind of a two-parted question, but the first part is your left arm what you would consider your dominant arm for you guys? And then to follow up on that question afterwards, is it stronger in a certain area, whether it is or isn't your dominant arm?
I'm left-handed. I believe Ian's also a left-handed kind of favored guy. Table-wise, my left arm has always outperformed my right. In the gym, my right's basically right there. Maybe a little weaker when it comes to internal rotation, pronation, since it's not my writing hand, stuff like that. But yeah, left hand, I think I've won state titles in 6 or 7 different states over the year. Like I said, at one point in 2024, I think I was ranked top 10 in the nation on the left hand in the weight class when I was doing pretty good there the first half of 2024. Definitely a left-handed specialist on my end. Right's been injured a lot over the last few years, but it is getting healthy, so I look forward to competing with it again this year coming up.
And Ian?
Yeah. I'm right-handed, but I would say arm wrestling, I am left-hand dominant. It's a little dumber, but it's a lot stronger. On my right hand, a little bit better table IQ, a little bit more reactionary stuff. But yeah, I feel like the left is where I've been the most consistent. I think I bounced into the rankings after beating Dan the other year just for a little bit, thanks to him for all his hard work getting in there and giving me a shot. So I bounced in there for a while. Haven't been traveling a whole lot lately to keep up with that ranking, but no, definitely left hand is my
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good insight to give because I know it's arm wrestling is such a weird sport, and oftentimes you see people who are right-handed, they just do better on their left, and vice versa, or just one arm is stronger in the gym, but even it still performs better. But one thing to note, since we did touch on Clifton, is that Josh was saying that he's been going to bat for you for quite a while, for like the last 3 years. So, and, Clifton has a lot of respect amongst, not just Montana, but I'm sure, Dakota knows as well up in Canada. A lot of people love him. And so I'm sure that's got to mean a lot to you to hear that he just went so hard to get this match for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's probably my biggest advocate. I mean, he doesn't get to bounce around to the tournaments as often as me and Nathan for his networking, but I know up and around the north area of the States and Canada, he's well known and well respected. So to hear that he's vouching for me is pretty cool.
And I'm curious too, and we'll start with you again, Dan, but what do you think, since you guys kind of are going to more than likely, based off what we've seen from tournaments, kind of pull into the same lane, where do you think you have the strength, or what do you think is going to give you the W over Ian?
Well, but being a short-armed guy with a relatively small hand for the sport, pronated back pressure is always the bread and butter, right? You got to get the guys close to you, and you got to be able to control center. Anytime you end up palm up, you're in for a bad way in arm wrestling. And that's been I know the last time Ian and I pulled, that's where the situation was, ending up palm up outside the shoulder. So pronated back pressure is my main focus in my training. And I'm going to keep pouring into that ace in the hole.
It's hard to say because I think as Dan's style has changed when I first started running into him, he was a high posting back pressure top roll, and we went back and forth there, and then he kind of switched to more of a dragon top roll, maybe hooker, and then I kind of ended up in that same lane too. So I think it's going to come down to timing. Whoever get that hand control first, and then if you do lose hand control, how much grit do you have to gas him out or wear him out? This is my first super match too, so I know Dan's got some more experience than me in that realm. Just playing it smart. It might be a long drawn out battle.
Yeah, and Dakota, I was going to say, lately on your YouTube, you've been putting out like lots of really amazing informational videos, like on why your hook is failing, why your top roll is failing. And I'm curious, so definitely check out his YouTube channel, guys. It's a treasure trove of info.
Thank you.
But I'm curious, when you see two guys who are more than likely, or based off what we know right now, wanting to go into the hook, where do you think you think that takes, the setup or the hand positioning and at the start of the match out of it, or how do you see that going, or what are they going to be looking for in order to get a dominant position over the other?
Do you think both these guys are going to want to go to the hook? Or are you just saying in general?
I have a very high feeling that that's where it's going to end up.
I think Dan's going to try and top roll him, to be honest.
It's going to come down to what pressures he gives me in that setup. I mean, I've typically been a top roller, but I train with Cliff and Nathan, so my hook has been coming along pretty well because they always put me there. So I could go either place. Depends on what Dan's giving me in that setup.
That's fair. I mean, I'm going solely off of what I've seen. Like, I saw the way Dan was pulling Dalton, and his top roll looked very good. I know that maybe that's not the exact same lane for this one, but to me, that looked very comfortable for him. But I'll stray back to the question. Sorry, Andrew, can you say that again? So when two hook pullers are both going to hook, does it take hand out of it?
Essentially, yeah. Like what I'm saying is, like, how does it change the importance of the setup, do you think, when it's two hook pullers going against each other, or like two people wanting to go into the hook versus, people going through opposing lanes?
Yeah, I mean, I would say opposing lanes, like you're more fighting for denial. So like if I'm Ian and I want to be hooking and Dan is trying to top roll me, then I'm probably going to be trying to deny top roll, whereas vice versa. Whereas I think if we both have an idea that we're going to be going to the same lane, I think it really comes down to who's better in that lane. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like there's hook pullers, but then there's like people who pull in the hook a lot. And I'm sure all of you guys know, like it can be a quarter of an inch of having your hand on top of someone's hand, or maybe high hook versus low hook, right? Just little things like that can really change the match. So I don't think it really changes. It doesn't change the importance of the hand, but it might change what you're trying to do with the hand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just based off my experience of seeing you guys pool a couple times, where I feel like I see this match happening, or why I kind of went through that thought process is I see the match kind of stopping somewhere between 10 and 2 o'clock. And it could be on either of your guys' side based on, who hits that better go. Cause speed wise, I'd say you guys are pretty comparable. Like it doesn't seem like one of you consistently gets the go on the other person. So yeah, I definitely see it stopping somewhere between 10 and 2. And I feel like you guys are both very comfortable with just curling your wrist in and just, trying to bang through sideways. And especially, with pullers, up in North Dakota, like Nathan and Clifton, really favoring that low, like dropping the rise and really coming in and just coming straight across, and Dan, you're just known for just like, okay, I'll just take it, I'll hold it, and you can see if you can do anything with my lock. So this is definitely going to be a fun one, but I can see it being a very long, painful match. So I'm hoping that both of you guys are prepared on the endurance front for this.
Yeah, I mean, in history, I think we've always opened top roll v top roll. Maybe it's ended up in the hook once or twice. A lot of times I've had to Todd Hutchins in over the years, where if he's able to slow it down and just sell out side pressure with pronation, um, I can do just about anything other than King's move. I don't think I've ever hit a King's move on an arm wrestling table, but every other style and lane is well open to me. So if that's what it takes, a flopper's press, well, by golly, we'll hit it if it needs to happen.
Yeah, well, because something that you and Dakota are both used to is the specific armbender rule set. And Ian, I don't know if you went back and watched, prior to armbenders to get a little bit of a better idea, but the matches tend to start very fast. There's not as much fiddling around in the setup, um, and so it definitely lends more to me feeling like there's not going to be quite as much time to get that perfect hand position. Have you been kind of working on those setups or that goes, or maybe trying to simulate within that rule set of the armbender, or do you think that it's not going to really be a factor for you?
I haven't yet, and I don't particularly foresee it being too big of a transition. I mean, it's the same basic principle, and I've never been one to really futz around too much or play around in the grip and force refs grips and stuff like that. So I don't know. Dan and I, we've never really gotten into it in the setups too bad, and so I don't foresee it getting too heated. I think it'll go along smoothly until they say go.
One thing I see a lot of people saying, and I don't know if you can comment on this at all, Dakota, but a lot of people when they first come to the armbender, they're the first like one or two goes of the super match, they say they're almost kind of caught by surprise by the go coming so fast. Was that the case for you?
Uh, I mean, I watched a lot of footage before my Garage Wars match with Josh Wilson. So I watched all the Garage Wars, sorry, and I was in the fifth one. And so I kind of knew going in, like I would say like the biggest thing to expect is maybe like if you're used to getting like where the referees are trying to be perfect before you say go, just be ready for some imperfection before the go. Like your wrist isn't maybe going to be fully straight, or your knuckle might be showing a little bit. Like the general bases are covered, but that's the biggest thing is like if most of the general bases are somewhat covered, then the referee's okay with saying go. You know what I mean? I mean, it was a bit of an adjustment for me for sure, but the biggest thing I noticed, and I've said this a few times, well, we actually got it changed at the last armbender because I was like, in the rules meeting, I was like, what? But initially they said they didn't care about covered thumb knuckles off the start. And I was pulling miles, and I was like, yeah, like this guy's hand is massive. Like I need to see my knuckle to have any chance.
Yeah.
And then I think it was actually Jordan Sill and someone else jumped in with me and was like, no, like we want to make sure knuckles can be seen. And I was like, that's fair. And the other thing is like when you guys are gripping, you can grip with elbows in the air. And then Keith is the ref, right?
I believe Keith is going to be the head ref again.
Yeah, see, Keith doesn't really care if you guys are kind of gripping up beforehand or whatever. He's more cared about just trying to get the match underway. So it's like kind of whatever you guys will do to get a grip that you guys deem somewhat okay is the way he goes about it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine with that. I think the biggest thing is just mentally going in, because I know it's a little different down there, but like when we have like our CAWF, Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation things going on and stuff, like it's so strict that any little thing they're like not willing to say go. So you do kind of are like, oh, they're saying go, but my wrist was a little bent, and it's either like woohoo or like, oh no. So
Oh yeah, the Canadian rule set's definitely a lot more strict. I'm finally kind of starting to get used to it a little bit better. Um, Thanks to Terry and who's the ref with the long hair who pulled Ryan earlier this
oh,
year?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah, great guys. Definitely wasn't used to just how strict it was, but it's a really cool contrast. And that kind of brings me to my next point, and maybe we can advocate to get this change as well to all the matches. But I'm curious to see what your guys' take is on the challenge flags that were added in last year to the armbender. And I'm told as of right now, the plans are to have challenge flags that the corner will have for the final 2 matches of the night. But I'm really hoping and really pushing that we can get that for all the matches. I know there's time constraints, and they're a little bit worried about that. But I think that adds such an interesting dynamic. One, it makes who you have in your corner really matter,
Mm-hmm.
because if they really know their stuff and they're paying attention to the rules, they can really help you out. Two, I think it could be used kind of strategically. Starting with you, Dan, how do you feel about the challenge flags? Do you think it's a cool addition, or are you kind of more like you like the strict tournament rules set, or how are you feeling about this?
I like the Montana Armbender rules. Josh, I still think I've been to a lot of different tournaments, a lot of different promotions. The Armbender is the single best production I've ever seen, as far as atmosphere, quality of the stream, taking care of the athletes. I mean, Josh does such a great job. The rules are designed for action, right? They want to see pins. They don't want to see people lose on fouls. They don't, they want to make sure that it is clear that you're getting the pin and you're winning based on your skill, not based on the refs with the running fouls and stuff like that. So as far as challenge flag, I guess I'd consider that like a protest. I think that makes sense. I know there have been times. I know when I pulled Brian Johnson and he tried to slip and I pinned him down almost center table a couple years ago, right-handed. That was something where you had to protest, say, hey, that's a pin for me. It's not a slip for restart. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Having a good corner guy who knows that, with the quality of the production and the video, I'm sure they could do an easy review of the action and find out exactly what happens, similar to what you're seeing in kind of the larger promotions.
Absolutely. Ian?
Yeah. I mean, I understand that they're trying to keep the action up. They're trying to keep the pace and the adrenaline going for everybody at home. I do like the idea of a protest, maybe limiting how many each person gets, or maybe if it's only like a
I
deciding
think it's 3.
round, maybe if it's a 2-0 and the third round goes to Dan again, and it would be a complete loss for me. Maybe that would be the time you could use a challenge. I think that would be the most crucial points where something like that might come into play. But never had challenge or protests before, so even if we don't get them, I think I'll be all right.
Absolutely. And Dakota, do you feel like having something like that in your match would be a good tool to have, or you kind of prefer letting the refs kind of settle things,
well,
having the final say?
Brian might need it. I don't know. We'll see. But no, I'm kidding. For actually, when I was at East versus West, I think it was 17 or 18 in Colorado, I was up in Matt's corner with Sean, and so their system was you had one challenge flag you could use anytime during the match. We got to a point where we suspected possibly there was an elbow foul. We also knew Matt was adrenaline was rushing, and he was maybe needed a minute to breathe. So we just put the challenge flag up there. It makes them review it, even if there's nothing there. You get an extra timeout. So I think it adds another dynamic to the match that maybe isn't always thought about. I would have no problems with one flag for a challenge for each person. You throw the challenge flag when you deem like you need it. If you're successful, you keep the flag. If you're unsuccessful, you lose the flag. I think that's the best system. I mean, it makes sense to me. That way, you only got one, you use it when it's important. If it's blatantly obvious and they missed it, or if you're right on a close call, then it's like, okay, this guy isn't just saying it to kind of blow smoke. So we'll grant it to him again.
Yeah, no, I really think that's smart. And again, it's something that in the rule meeting or just, while we're up there at the armbender could be maybe advocated for. Again, I know that they're really sensitive to the time slots because they do want to keep the action going, but I just think it's such a cool, fun dynamic. Like you're saying, it can be used in a lot of different ways that I'm sure people haven't even thought of. And I think, it didn't occur to me like what you were saying, you could use it as a way to get a break. So that's, really smart, genius. And especially because you guys knew your athlete who was pulling and you knew like when his, Matt Mask, the wild horse, maybe he needs a little bit of an adrenaline dump. So that's really awesome to hear.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna hit one more point on that. I do think too, like, I understand that a lot of time slot thing. I mean, you could even grant that for only you could do this time do it for only the prelims because prelims are maybe not as important as the main pay-per-view going smoothly. Or you could do it for only the pay-per-view if you're confident in your system. You can slowly implement it and try it and see what happens. But I mean, in reality, let's say there's 20 matches. I mean, if each person uses the challenge flag and it takes the referees an average of a minute to look at a challenge, you're still only going to be you'd be adding a maximum of 40 minutes, which can be a long time, but the odds of each challenge flag being used and everything, like if you average it out, you'd maybe be risking adding probably 25 minutes of run time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. Another good point to bring up there. And now, one thing I do like to touch on, just as like a fun thing, and I know Dakota and Ian, you're not necessarily super embroiled in this, but so I'll go to Dan first again on this one. But the Montana rankings that kind of came up this year has been like a really big motivating factor for a lot of people. Everyone's excited to climb and see where they're at, see where they're going. You had a match with Chuck at a tournament, which you counted for the part of the rankings, and now you're going to be having a match with Brian. But is there other matchups that you're really excited for, like you're really looking at? And then in addition to that, I also want to know, do you think there's like a dark horse on the list that's maybe like way too low that sometime in the next year we might see some big moves from?
Well, I mean, I still feel like I should beat Chuck. I know he's beat me a couple different tournaments this year. He's changed up his style a little bit. I haven't been in my best shape ever. I think I can change that. I know Chuck is very difficult to beat, but I've had 3 years running of beating him, and I think I can get that win back. As far as right hand, I'm just getting healthy. There was a time when I had the best right hand under 200 pounds in the state for a long time. And if I can get my right arm healthy, I think I can get that back on the top of that ranking list as well. As far as guys up and coming, there's so many new guys pulling anymore. I think Miles is probably the most gifted natural arm wrestler in the state. I don't see any reason why he won't be a top 5 guy in the United States under 240 for a long time if he sticks with it. Logan, obviously, he's already number 1 left-handed. I know everybody's heard me say it, and I'll say it here again. I think if he commits to the sport, he'll be the number 1 left arm in the United States. He has got a gift that very few people have. Plus, he's got the frame to be a super heavyweight, which is what you need there. In our club, Dalton, Declan, Nick, man, they just all continue to climb. I think as the years go here, they're going to all really start to show out as they start traveling, and that's part of having a good club, right? As all the ships rise in a good club, everybody grows better together, and we've definitely been seeing that in Billings.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes it's easy to get not necessarily disheartened, but you can't because you're pulling within your club a lot. You can't really see like all the little progress you're making because you're all kind of coming up and getting better together. But then once you do get to go out and test it, it's really cool to see how well everyone is doing. And Ian, I know you probably don't have too much exposure to it, and you'll kind of get to see based on your match with Dan where you kind of hold up within the Montana State rankings. But I'm curious, do you guys have anything like that in North Dakota or something that you guys have like some kind of ladder?
We don't. I mean, the majority of the pullers in North Dakota are right here in Bismarck. We train every week together. There's another group of guys up in Watford, but they too come to Bismarck once or twice a year, and things kind of shake out in practice. We don't have a lot of ready goes, but I think everybody kind of knows where they stand at the pro level over here. It's the new up and comers that may be interested if we were to start a structure like that or do some sort of Garage Wars format. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I definitely highly recommend it. I think it's helped a lot of people get better in a short period of time because it gives them something like really tangible, even like when there's maybe not a tournament or something that they can make to move towards. Do you have anything like that, Dakota, going on with specifically within your club? I know Alberta has its rankings, and I know Red Gear has rankings, but curious to see how you guys do it.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I'm back and forth between Red Deer and Edmonton Club. I'm currently living and working in Edmonton, but I like to go to Red Deer Club just because of the level that's down there. I mean, technically, I'm ranked first in the 198s in Edmonton, and I'm ranked second in the 220s in Edmonton. I think in all of Alberta, I'm fifth or sixth in the 198s. So, like, there's a lot of rankings over here where you can kind of gauge where you're at. But I actually claim number one in Montana under 200 pounds right arm, just because I know Declan's got that number one spot down there.
Yeah.
So I always like to bug everybody about that. And then I also claim that I'm better than Clifton because I beat Declan as well. And then if I beat Brian, that'll be another guy that's beat Clifton. So like the resume is just stacking up.
Right.
So I always got to bug that guy. But no,
I
he's in
mean,
Edmonton
the
right now.
logic is there.
I'm training with Clifton tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That's really cool.
I got the club to move practice to Wednesday because that's the day he was available. And so we're going to have him out tomorrow and kind of show him what Edmonton has to offer. I'm really excited to pull with him. It's been a while. So, but yeah, no, I think I agree with Dan. I think Miles is probably going to move up the list a little bit, especially on that left arm. He's ranked 7th right now. I'd like to see Miles and Joe Fair pull for that number 4 spot. I think that'd be interesting. And then on the right arm, you know, Miles is already 4th, so I think climbing there might be a little more difficult. The guys in front of him are quite good. But I actually think 2 people that stand out for me on this list, I think Tyler Weaver at 18 is I've pulled him and he's strong. He's got to just get a little bit more table time, I would say, from what I pulled with him. And I could see him jumping up a few ranks. And I also think that Steve Legred, he's big and strong. He just needs some more arm wrestling time, but he's a phenomenal puller. So I could see him moving up a few spots too.
Steve definitely has a lot of potential. He's another just massive frame human that can, once he figures out how to put his frame to use, you know, he's going to be a problem for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's exciting though. I mean, what other questions do you have, Andrew?
I mean, that's kind of where I was going to close out for the night. So if you don't have any other questions, then I'll just ask everyone if they have any final statements, and then we can go from there.
Okay, well, I have a few like non this
Absolutely.
interview related questions. Would you rather I wait till after statements or do them right now?
Go for them right now. Yeah.
Okay, Dan, how are you feeling about this match on the 13th with Brian? Like where do you feel like it's going to go, and where do you feel like you have an advantage or maybe lack an advantage?
Well, I just found out about it yesterday reading Facebook, so I didn't even know I was pulling
That's
Brian
so funny.
Saturday. Josh just said if Josh asked would I pull, I said if someone wants to pull, sign me up. And so then I saw that I'm pulling Brian, which is great. Brian and I have gone back and forth over the years. Generally, the way it's worked out when we pull more than one round is I have the advantage early, and the later it goes, the worse it gets for me. His arm, if anyone's ever pulled Brian, he has one of the single largest hands and longest arms you will ever grip under 200 pounds. And it is a nightmare for anyone. Left-handed, he's usually a top roller. Right-handed, he likes to sink that really deep kind of Kevin Baumgartner style hook. So left-handed, where I have the advantage is my arm's way shorter and I can generate a lot more side pressure off the start. Where I have a disadvantage is he can basically just lay back on his tricep and pull me off the pad. So I have to have a lot of containment force and a lot of capacity to just keep my elbow down in order to keep it on the pad. Being fast is helpful. So that's going to be the goal: fast and a lot of down pressure on that long lever. I'm not even sure we've ever gone in the hook left-handed. So if it goes in the hook, that'd be really interesting. I'm very comfortable inside. My hook strength is really, really good right now. But usually it's ended up where he kind of hits an open arm top roll, breaks my wrist back, and it kind of ends up being like a Todd Hutchins versus a King's move sort of a deal the last few times. But I think it's been 2 or 3 years since we've had an actual competitive match against each other.
Nice. So what do you think his elbow to fingertip is? Like I've gripped up with him before. I remember it being long, but like I'm just curious.
It's got to be at least 21.
I mean, it is like I don't think, I mean, his hand is bigger than Logan's, his hand is his hand might be a little smaller than Miles,
It's not
but
as thick as Miles or wide,
yeah,
but I think it might even be a little bit longer.
yeah,
Man,
his arm to fingertip is longer than Miles.
Like
Miles is thicker,
his
but his
palm is really
length,
long.
yeah, he's freaking. That's why he could hit that Kevin Bumgarner style hook back in the day, and still, because he's so long that he can just roll under, and you just can't gain enough. There's not enough table to get him pinned. You've got to come up and down on his arm
So do you
to
think
pin
that
him.
gripping him would be comparable to gripping Matt Mask almost? Like not from like a
I,
strength perspective, but from like a frame, elbow to fingertip, hand perspective.
Probably. I've never gripped Matt Mass, so I
Oh, you
couldn't
haven't gripped
tell
Matt
you.
Mask.
No, I've never gripped Matt. Yeah, but grip it. You pulled Miles, so I mean, Miles is like I said, he's got not quite as long of a hand, but a thicker hand.
Yeah. Because
So
my
I mean,
elbow
you're
to
in that
fingertip's
realm.
21 and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So well, you may. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what mine is, but it's not very long.
No, fair enough. No,
So I'm at
I was
the.
just curious.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that just to watch and kind of gather some intel. Well, I mean, you guys, I don't know if Ian, if you've pulled Brian lots, but I know Andrew, you have. I know Dan, you have. I know I'm going to be
Mm,
on here with Brian. I'm not trying to make this all about me, but I am curious
yeah.
if I don't see you guys before the armbender. What do you guys
Is
think
it
about
a?
that match?
It's a
Where do you think it's going
left-handed
to go?
match.
Left-handed match, yeah.
I mean, left-handed Brian's been really tough. He's been top rolling and he's been hitting, which is new for Brian. Brian usually isn't a hitter. I know he pulled Sam Getling on short notice at the arm bender last year and dominated Sam. And Sam's a very strong puller from northern Wyoming. And so I mean, I don't imagine you'll be able to break his wrist back. So I don't know if you'll have enough containment to top roll through his hand. I imagine he's going to top roll as well. He doesn't hook that often with his left hand.
More of like an emergency thing if he kind of gets forced there, or a defensive thing, yeah. But
So
he'll even pull out a sneaky press if he needs to from a defensive
yeah, I mean, I remember
place.
5 years
But
ago I
no,
seen him
I agree with Dan. You need a lot of down pressure. That's what surprised me in the match.
yeah,
Is that until the third round, I couldn't really figure out a place to hold him to get that leverage I needed just to even get in the match, because every other one is just so much up pressure.
yeah.
So yeah, that's I totally agree with you.
Yeah, he will give up his wrist. He'll almost do Todd Hutchins where he'll give up his wrist and pronate, and his arm is so long that you can't really apply any pressure to his arm. And that's a real sticky. I seen him win a super heavyweight round robin like 5 years ago doing that against guys like Chuck Young and these guys. And he was down there doing that, and he won the whole round robin. So it can be real nasty because he's just got such good tools.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I guess for those of you that like don't know, I did just pull the number. He got second at Canadian Nationals on the right arm and third at Canadian Nationals on the left arm. I'm actually going to be uploading the match hopefully within a
Caden?
day or two. Caden, yeah. I beat him 3-1 on the left arm. I ended up losing 3-1 on the right arm. So my left's feeling very strong right now. It's kind of getting to the point where
Awesome.
I think it'll need to be for Brian. I know, like in all your guys' eyes, I'm probably a pretty big underdog. I'm okay with that. I'm really excited. I do think that I'm curious to see how his wrist holds. I think that's going to be important. Like I'll go into a hook with him. I know his endurance is insane. I know you don't want to get into an endurance battle with him. I will tell you guys what though. I am gonna have insane endurance as well. Like I'm not just rolling over on this one. Like I'm coming to play, and if it has to go on for 5 minutes, it will go on for 5 minutes. I'm gonna be there to fight. I actually just got a brand new training system for my new basement that I'm in. It's like a cable pulley. And I can hit a lot more angles and stuff. And so I'm going to be working on increasing my max, but just also statically holding like 90% of my max to be able to kind of adapt. Because I know from what I've watched from Brian, like I don't want to give too much away, but he's very good at holding his angles, but you don't see too much advancement when he gets to an angle. I would say his goal mainly is to wait for you to make a mistake because he's so confident in his endurance. I do think that there's some possibilities that you can like take advantage of that, but I know it's a lot easier said than done. So I'm very excited to pull him left arm. I'm really curious to see where it goes. And thanks for your guys' input on that kind of.
No, it's good to be the underdog coming to a match, I think, because
Yeah, I
one,
think
it
it'll be
keeps
a
you
great
hungry.
match.
And two, your rate of improvement's actually been pretty insane. So, I think the Miles match definitely lit a fire in you. And ever since then, like, I feel like you've been very consistent in terms of I'm trying to think of the word I want to use, but you've kind of shown out more than what people have expected every time you've competed since then,
Yeah.
even when things didn't necessarily completely go your way. And, so I'm not going to say that you're the underdog.
You can say it. It's okay.
No, I really, because like I said, your rate of improvement's been really good. And I actually think that you have physical tools like that me, Dan, and Ian don't have that could potentially get you to places that, 'cause, Dan's arm's a little bit shorter than mine because we kind of measured up at the last practice. My elbow to fingertip is 18. And so Dan's a little bit shorter than that. And I think Ian's pretty comparable in size to both of us too. So, you're definitely gonna not get completely outhanded or just I think that this is a really great match, actually. And when I first saw it, I was really kind of hoping to see what the right hand match would look like. But the more I think about it, I think the left hand match, especially when you showed you had the horsepower versus Ryan, to deal with a lot of stuff. So I think that this is very interesting to me as well. Do you have a lot of experience with seeing Dakota pull, Ian?
I don't, just what I've seen in the past arm benders. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I haven't
Fair
really got to
enough.
pull a whole lot of people over there. Such a long drive to just come along to support my friends, but I'm excited to pull everybody afterwards for sure.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I'm excited after pull with you too. And I guess to go back, Andrew, on what you're saying with the point, I did. Yeah, Ryan was also a good, I think, showing that my left arm was there. And actually, after that match is when, because Josh was still uncertain if Brian's right arm was going to be kind of good to go for this. And after that, if for anyone wondering why it's not a right arm match, I told Josh, I'm like, if Brian's left arm is gung ho, like it's his good arm, I'm like, let's do it with that arm. I'm like, I want his better arm. I want to be challenged. And I think at the end of the day, right now, both of our left arms' resumes are a little bit higher because his right arm's coming off of injuries, mine's coming off of a loss. Whereas I haven't lost a left arm match in quite a while. I beat Brad Prins last year. I beat Ryan Boussier, and then I just beat Caden Esmond. And they've all been pretty convincing wins, 3-0, 3-0, and 3-1. So I think it's an exciting kind of worlds collide. Like I've been kind of going around in Alberta with my left arm and then came down to the States and pulled Ryan. And then Brian is always just around in Montana with that left arm and he sucks the life out of people.
As we close out here for tonight, starting with you, Ian, do you have anything you want to say to your competitor, anyone back home, or just in general, make a statement?
I mean, I'm always thankful for this opportunity. Thanks to Tim for sponsoring our match. I've always wanted to kind of settle things, at least one arm, left arm in particular with Dan. So this will be nice that we get to peak. Neither of us have to do a harsh weight cut. We get to just go in there and bang.
And you, Dan?
Yeah, I just want to thank Josh. It's been 3 years of asking to pull somebody in my weight on the left arm, which will be great. I think Ian is the best left hand under 200 pounds in North Dakota. So he's definitely a great person to pull. And we've got a lot of history. So it's not one of those things where you're wondering about styles and stuff like that. Thanks, Tim, for sponsoring it and the Montana Armbender for just being the best production that I've ever been a part of. And just hopefully it keeps on rolling, give them some good matches.
Absolutely. And is there anything you wanted to say as we close out, Dakota?
No, I just want to say good luck, guys. I'm really excited for this match. I think it's going to be a great addition to the Armbender. Shout out to Tim Guide for sponsoring the event. He's always an avid supporter, so it's great to see him doing all this stuff for arm wrestling. And he's got a match of his own, so best of luck to him as well and see how that goes.
Yes, Tim was the first interview in this series. And again, yeah, big shout out to him and Guy Bland and Livestock. Thank you for joining us here tonight as we continue on the 2026 Montana Armbender. We'll definitely have more of these coming here shortly. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time.